Van Jones asks black Trump supporters if they would vote for him again. Hear their answers. Oh, I will.
We started off the broadcast tonight with the president's cabinet shakeup, and that's, of course, only a fraction of what's unfolded over the last 102 days of the second Trump administration. The question is, what are voters making of it all? CNN's Van Jones has been talking to Trump supporters dating back to 2016. He is, as you...
This is your favorite slop content? Yeah, did you guys see the New York Times the write-up? Here's what 7 Americans think of Trump's first 100 days. And it was absolutely, it was mind-melting. Absolutely mind-melting. It's the New York Times goes out of their way. I feel like they're doing some Jubilee where they have like a back catalog of the craziest median voters out there so they can get the most entertaining write-ups. Because I feel like there's no way they're talking to average people. If you talk to the average Trump supporter and you ask them like, why'd you vote for Trump? They're just going to be like, well, because he's going to get them damn immigrants out or something. You know? But these people always have the most median voter syndrome.
Trump's 100 first days have been kind of a mixed bag. I think for the most part, it's been positive, and I still feel that I've made the right decision voting for Trump. As mayor of this my small city here in Roma, Texas, I am concerned about the tariffs. We've recently developed a 300+ acre industrial park development for imports, the import of produce and other commodities.
Idiot.
So we are concerned about how that's going to affect our development, and we've gotten several investors to come in and look at our this development, wanting to invest. But some of them have actually told us, we're very interested in developing in your city. However, because of the tariffs, we're going to take a pause and see how things play out the next 2, 3, 4 months.
That sounds like it's going great, man. Net positive. That's fantastic. He identified as a Democrat until the migrant crisis, and after years of what he described as chaos at the border, voted for Trump, a Republican. Is he? Oh, so he's Hitler? I mean, he's, I assume, Latin. His name is Jaime Escobar Jr. So I'm assuming he's Latin American. So he's one of the Latin voters who switched from being Democrat to Trump because of the migrants. I mean, the biggest downside in his view, that the nation remains so divided. I just don't like so much negativity, he said. We got to be able to listen to one another. Fantastic.
After 100 days in office, do I have any regrets? No, I don't have any regrets. My Jill Stein vote, personally, was not necessarily directly for her. Mine was more of a protest vote. I just felt as a country, we should have put a stop to the war between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Actions I've been supportive of is trying to stop the war in the Ukraine. I see some of the angles he's coming from in terms of tariffs, but I don't like the side of it where we are alienating a lot of our United States allies. I'm in sales myself, so to
this is a fascinating little biopic here. I'm concerned about American economic hegemony, but also I voted for Jill Stein to stop the war. And
me, I'm always going to be in favor of negotiations. I think he's taken a kind of almost like they would say in sales.
Hey, listen, man. Okay, at least his personal brand of retardation was motivated by a humanitarian concern for the massacre of the Palestinians, right? It's you know. Listen, in a world where 50% of my countrymen are Adolf Hitler, you know, there are definitely varying percentages.
The hard sell angle of negotiations where it's going to be like my way or the highway. This is the way I want things done, and that's the way it's going to be.
Hell yeah, man. A real estate agent. He said if he had to vote for president today, nothing would change. I could understand that from a Jill Stein voter.
President Trump's first 100 days, to me, has been a bit chaotic. Mm-hmm. I think that my vote for Kamala Harris was the right thing to do. But this is who we have. Mm-hmm. Wake up, realize that you're the president for all of us. You know, you're trying to erase African-American history. It's like you're trying to erase what we did in this country. Those that he has chosen to deport, they still deserved due process.
So her bit I would say like a probably progressive leaning or centrist Democrat, her cool like distinguishing feature is that she's right about everything and a good person, which is how you know she's not a Republican. It's like you have like all the Trump supporters trying to justify their votes. All the bad things that he said he'd do that he's done that are hurting me, he's gonna undo, or someone else is doing them, or actually like the good thing hasn't happened yet. I don't like all the division and hatred, but also the Democrats are all child killing files, and Trump isn't, even though he's friends with Epstein. Really, it was a protest vote against the system. Democrat trying to explain why they voted for Kamala Harris. Well, I think good things are good and bad things are bad, basically. Parentheses, uninformed by historical materialism. It's like, it's just funny. Like, you talk to a Republican and they all have their own dance routine. And then it's like, yeah, here on our panel of 7, here's the Democrat. She's just correct and also like a good person. Nice. No wonder Republicans are so upset. Democrats don't want to talk to them, but Democrats are never upset Republicans don't want to talk to them. Look, the first guy up here, the Trump supporter, he ended on, I just don't like so much negativity. My brother in Christ, you voted for the Nazi. They're always like that, man. Yeah, I voted in Hitler 2.0. Yeah, I did it because I consumed, gallons of anti-migrant propaganda and thought they were destroying the country and was willing to vote for the person who was openly anti-democracy in order to deal with it, even though it wasn't a big deal to begin with. Eat shit. But why can't we all get along, Not her. I'm not going to watch the end of this video, but at the end of it, I bet she says, and that guy 2 spots above me, meet me in a parking lot. I'll show you negativity.
3 words to describe the first 100 days. Hang on tight. Here we go. I mean, it's just been totally unpredictable. I voted Republican. I voted for Trump because I wanted change. I don't know that I made the right decision.
Is she based? Have you ever seen a white person before? I didn't even say anything because I thought we understood what we were looking at here. But like, you don't need to bust out the calipers for this one. Like, Jesus. Might as well be wearing a hood.
It's been totally unpredictable. I voted Republican. I voted for Trump because I wanted change. I don't know that I made the right decision or the wrong decision. I made the one that I had the highest hopes for.
Okay. Oh, okay. An uncharacteristic bit of self-awareness from somebody who votes for Trump. I think that, no. I'll listen, I have to give credit where credit's due. I think that bit right there indicated more self-awareness than I would normally expect. Because my expectations are through the floor. My expectations are like completely unintrospective jingoism, right?
There are things that I like about what he's doing,
but it can only go so
he's
far.
Willing to make changes, and he's willing to charge in there and say, no, this is wrong, we got to fix it. There are things that I don't like because in the process of your bull in the china shop attitude, Mr. Trump, you are trampling all over people's lives. I think the Doge cuts, to an extent, needed to be done. But Doge just kind of went at it with the bulldozer effect and with no care or concern for the fallout. The tariffs do affect the flower shop a lot because all of our flowers are imported. Yes, we have the increased cost on the glass with the tariffs, but the increased cost of everything affects my customer base because I'm not a necessity business.
I don't think that's true. I think getting flowers for a cutie pie that you like is a sort of life necessity. Florist who imports your flowers? Dude, we import like all flowers. Flowers are very, very, very import driven. A lot of them only grow in certain places. Also, you can keep flowers fresh, like over very long distances with the right preparation. A registered Democrat. Okay.
With the choices I was given in November, I think I made a great decision by supporting President Trump and no regrets. There are 2 me's.
Yeah, well, your collar should be double reinforced because it's hanging off your body and looks like shit, basically.
One, Hamid is a businessman who is center-right and who happens to be a Republican. And the other Hamid is father of 2 brown Muslim children, businessman Hamid.
Jesus Christ, man. Listen, I have two wolves inside of me, okay? On one hand, I am an immigrant member of a minority group, and my children are as well. On the other hand, I am Adolf Hitler. What do I do?
An immigrant from Pakistan. I love his policies. I love what he's doing so far. The tariffs, yes, hey, people were taking advantage of us. That there were corrections were needed in the market.
Indians watching this, take note, okay? When people from Pakistan want to issue dogshit opinions on American politics, they do so here, looking into a camera, not through a blue check Twitter account where you pretend to be an American, okay? I've got eyes on you.
Everything, even though businesses slowed down a little bit since when he first took over. But that's understandable. Sometimes you have to take a step back when you want to move forward. But father of two Muslim children is unhappy or worried, more like worried with all the rhetoric, crazy rhetoric is going on in the country, and deporting people without a due process.
This guy's like the reverse of the average Trump supporter, because he's like, yeah, I love the tariffs, this thing that's objectively bad for everyone. But the thing I don't like is the anti-immigrant sentiment and the mass deportations, which is the thing that Trump is pulling highest on.
President Trump's been in for 100 days. I still support that I voted for him. There were a lot of changes that needed to be made. As much the debt, we have got to do something about that. I really support what Elon Musk and President Trump are doing with trying to get rid of the waste and the fraud, or whatever you want to call it. I'm a rare teacher that supports getting rid of the Department of Education.
Sure. Whatever, man. Sure. You hear they're going to be teaching the Trump big lie in Oklahoma as part of their official curriculum starting soon in the next school year. They're going to be putting that in the history books. That we're doing like actual Hitlerjugend shit. The idea that the election was stolen, like the history books that children are taught. It's going to say that Biden stole the election.
I mean, I do have some students that are concerned about some things. They're friends with illegal immigrants, and they're afraid that their friends may be deported. I think if you're in this country illegally and you are not violating the law and you are working a job and you're living the American life, there needs to be a process to citizenship. I like that he's getting rid of these illegal immigrants, especially the violent criminals, but the lack of due process, I'm not a fan of that.
How the fuck do you talk to these people, man? Speaking of the Department of Education, did you see this? Justice Department ended a decades-old school desegregation order. Others are expected to fall. Let's see. The end of the 1966 legal agreement with Plaquemines Parish Schools. I don't know the details of this desegregation order. I mean, whatever, man. Just put the civilizational decline in the bag.
When I evaluate Mr. Trump, I really think that he has a good heart and good aim for the US especially, and for the whole entire world. You know, not always it comes to reality. I mean, 100 days are not enough for me. And I'm hoping that he will continue fighting with the general crimes that are ongoing in the US. I hope that he will continue what he started with Israel and will bring back home all 59.
There we go. Of course. Mr. Hunt, born and raised in Israel before immigrating to the US. Holy shit! Somebody born in Israel and moving to the United States? That's the opposite of how it normally happens. That's crazy. Is that sarcastic? I mean, it's kind of like a reference to the fact that a ton of people in Israel are like the most Hitlerite American Jews who come over. And it's because they want to like LARP as settler colonial project, warriors or whatever. What was that with the settler documentary that came out recently? and all of the like perfect unaccented English you hear from people talking about how their blood is in the Levant for 4,000 years or whatever. Yeah, this is my ancestral home, said a guy from Philadelphia. Fucking Jesus. Louis Thoreau, thank you. Sadly, it seems humankind as a group is just too dumb and gullible for democracy. Nah, that's bullshit, man. This is all capital. Literally, everything we're seeing, it's literally all money poisoning the water. Like you're looking at a guy who's being given nothing but poison to drink, and you're saying, I guess humans just aren't meant to drink water, you know? There are forces creating this. You know, when we take over again, okay, you know what we're banning? We're banning crime coverage on the news. It is fucking wild how many people have been made Hitlerites because they delusionally believe that crime is up. Except car chases, those are cool. Yes! Thano, you always have such good ideas. Car chases should stay. I agree. Because nobody looks at a car chase and thinks, oh my god, it's so dangerous out. You think of a car chase as like a funny oddity that you experience from the comfort of your home, you know? You don't live in Germany? No. I'm saying car chases, not ramming into crowds of people. That's very different, okay? Very, very, very different, okay? When I'm saying car chase, I'm talking about like 2 hours of helicopters following a 15-mile-per-hour car chase on the 405. That's very different. Los Angeles actually experiences the far end of the car infrastructure safety effect, right? Which is that if you have so many cars that they never move. The 405 is very safe to drive on during peak traffic hours, right? Because no one's going at a speed high enough to injure anyone. In car chases, everyone roots for the criminal? Yes, because machines, cars turn us into monsters, right? If you see police chasing a perp, people root for the police. If you see police cars chasing a car, people root for the car, not the police cars. Wish we saw more bike chases. Maybe in like the Netherlands? I don't know. Oh yeah, there was this video too.
You know, a Democrat who is a former senior advisor to President Obama. For tonight's...
You do well.
And here we are in South Carolina with 3 Trump voters. You weren't always a Republican.
No. Actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
This guy is so not racist against white people. He would have voted for Joe Biden a second time if he could have.
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, part of it is he's an asshole. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama in...
I love Americans. Also, none of you can make edgy racialized comments, all right? Only people with the past, which is me and no one else, all right? I'm just getting ahead of this, okay? Because I know you people, sometimes you people, you catch a whiff of the race humor and you're like, oh, surely this is a simple weapon, easy tool to wield. And then you club yourself in the head and everyone around you, okay? Takes years of expertise. Bro, I'm black too? No, you're not. You're a collection of orange text. You understand the rules, don't you? You've been online long enough. Through the anonymity of the chat box, everyone is white. When you're on YouTube, on Twitter, everyone can pretend to be black because they want to say soft A rather than MF. Like this MF, you know? People don't want to say that.
Then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone. Her name is Candace Owens.
Ooh, wow. That's like several levels past. Ooh, boy. Okay, yeah, wow. All right.
And I read her book, and it just opened my eyes to maybe...
You read her book. Wow. My guess is that this woman consumed Candace Owens' content before she left the Daily Wire, before she became an open neo-Nazi. Because for a long time, Candace Owens' grift was the Democratic plantation. The idea that Democrats condescend to and look down on black people through the bigotry of low expectations because Democrats assume black people will just always vote for them. Which is true, kind of ignores the fact that Republicans are infinitely more racist towards black people, but, you know, it was only after leaving the Daily Wire that she pulled into her new grift.
Maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
So you voted against Trump in 2016.
Yes.
But then in 2020 you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.
What are some things that he's doing that you do like?
For me, I like the border. I just don't like the idea of someone coming here illegally and getting benefits that can serve my community. So that's the reason why I support him on that border policy.
When you think about the border, you think about people coming here who are getting more help than people who live here and who were born here.
Yeah. And
a very real thing that really happens. Again, we're talking years and years of targeted propaganda. The idea that migrant or asylum seekers, you know, get a bunch of free shit from the government. One of the big ones was the Biden phone. The idea that every migrant got a phone for free from Biden. And what they would get was this cheap ass little phone. And the reason they got it was so that they could use the app. Was it CPS One? What was it called? The app the Biden administration wanted you CBP One, thank you, wanted them to use to make their appointments for their asylum hearings, which, by the way, actually worked. A significant, like over 90% of asylum seekers were consistent with their meetings, and far more than 90% were like they had some issues with making the meetings, but they overwhelmingly, like, they wanted to attend. People don't seek asylum in the US hoping to be an illegal immigrant, having to always live on the fringes of society, right? They want to be a legal migrant because they want to be able to, like, benefit from the same systems that we do.
I got that perspective not from news channels. I got it from social media.
Why would you admit that? I know, we know, but why would you admit that? Okay.
TikTok is like a holy grail. We even see it with the things that we learn about the United States government outside of the United States. People are showing Americans, hey, look at what's going on. Do y'all know that your government is doing this? Have you seen this? Have you
like
have
what?
You looked
What?
at it?
What? You're so vague. What are you what? What are you talking about?
From this perspective?
You know, people, when they think about a Trump voter, they usually think about like a white dude with like a red hat on and a pickup truck, and y'all are not that at all. So Donald Trump's team.
I really don't want to lean into the pick me accusations because they're usually pretty obvious. I will say that black conservatives get so much joy from being like, yep, I bet you didn't expect me to be black. It's like their main fucking... I mean, we're talking about conservatives here, so any, like, grace and charity that you extend to them, that's on you, right? They voted for Trump. We know what they are. But they do delight in the identity to a large extent. Weirdly, Latin people don't... I haven't, to my knowledge, ever seen a Latin person go like, yep, bet you didn't expect that, huh? It's probably like a legacy thing, right? Because overwhelmingly black people vote for Democrats, so there is more of a defiance of expectation. I don't really know. They have to believe they're a bit like unicorns with their white coworkers. And well, they probably enjoy the accolades from other conservatives because they kind of exist to be a shield, right? Like they're a token. They fucking are, okay? We don't have to pretend. These aren't the Bush years where both Democrats and Republicans, like, signaled a desire for racial equality. It's just Hitler shit day in, day out from this administration. We don't need to, like, pretend that they're pretending.
Went in, they took down Harriet Tubman's picture for a quick minute. They're trying to, like, knock out the black museums. What does that have to do with the price of eggs, and how does that impact you?
In some ways, it's a slap in the face. In other ways, I don't care. I care more.
Fascinating.
About how I'm going to take care of my children.
I don't think the average American cares about that. I know I am sick and tired of seeing Black people sit there and complain about something, but not taking action and steps to actually try to change things in an appropriate manner.
Under the Trump
Correlation? Correlation? What? The facial expressions are gold? Van Jones does have a very expressive face, which is pretty funny, but it did also look like her body and her face were fighting her to let that one out. You know? Like, she seemed confused by what she was saying. Vash, I find it hard to hate them. Dude, they're just as much evil as the average white Trump supporter, you know? If anything, they have to be a little more evil or stupid, right? Because you have to fight against a larger body of evidence that it's not your self-interest as a black person to vote this administration to office. You're kind of fighting uphill on that one in terms of self-interest. And it's like, sure, they're going to be victims of this administration, but so is the average white racist, right? I mean, it's like it's not like they're benefiting from any of this. They're not getting anything. That's one of the reasons I got canceled for this once, man. But I was right then. I'm right now. I hated the argument that white people benefit from white supremacy, because I only think that's true in like an old-timey extractive sense, right? You could argue that's the case when you had systems like slavery or like colonial, like old colonialism, like mercantile colonialism, sure, because the extraction in that case is a very like direct process. But nowadays, racism against black people does not benefit white people. Look at what racists are doing to this country for everyone. The tariffs, our education, everything. Did anti-Semitism benefit the average German between 33 and 45? No! It led to a lot of them dying in a war. And the rest of them lived in a bombed-out, occupied ruin. It did not benefit them. So I've always pushed back against that, because I think that you're unnecessarily ceding ground to the idea that white people it is in their interest to be racist. And I just think that's false. I think that's completely false. What about men and patriarchy? I feel the same way in that respect, sure. Are men happy? Are men in South Korea happy right now? Are men in Japan happy? Are men here happy? Are the incels happy? No, it seems like it's a caustic... Chauvinism is a caustic ideology that's created, you know, a contradictory and... Look, I just don't think these systems of oppression benefit the people doing the oppressing. I think that only works in the most unabstracted senses, right? Where like you can press the big button that means that because you're from X group, you get stuff from Y group. But in reality, it doesn't work that way, because men don't press a button and then get things from women. Men and women are both humans that interact with each other in a really like delicate, you know, tapestry of social interactions. And men actually really, really covet the affirmation and affection of women. What about things like the gender pay gap? Wouldn't that be a benefit? No. Think broadly, okay? The fact that, for one, the pay gap thing is complicated because it usually has to do with women's choice of careers or what careers they're pushed into, more so than like environment pay. But even within intra-environmental pay, the idea that it's like men are benefiting from the extraction from women. No, the business is benefiting that sexism allows them to extract more wealth from the women, more surplus value. That's not men getting money off of women. That's a business taking advantage of sexism to take. It's the same with immigrants, right? Like, you could argue, well, don't immigrants take jobs away from locals if immigrants are able to be paid less because they have less bargaining power? Yeah, but the bargaining power that they don't have is because we're racist towards them. Like, if we weren't racist towards immigrants, they would have the same bargaining power as a worker. They would be in the same unions, right? An unwillingness to unionize with non-white coworkers has prevented a lot of sectoral industries from securing better pay for the white people in those areas. You know?
And Biden administration, they came to certain agreements with police departments to be less brutal toward the black community. Trump has now ended all that. How does that help the black community?
I have a lot of issues with police reform and just with how police officers are treated as a whole.
Oh,
My
yeah.
husband is currently going through the process to become a police officer.
Yeah, that tracks. That sounds about right. Obviously, yeah.
The amount of hatred that cops get, even the best ones, I think has become a huge problem because it has been, especially around election times when it definitely comes
Nuts, why do you have a mod tag when you don't moderate and all you do is disagree with me and then argue with chatters out of curiosity?
out of like, oh no, the cops are bad, the cops hate you because you're black. They're immediately deemed as evil.
This man is talking about running for a third term. Now, what do you think about that?
The third term, for me, absolutely not. I think it's at the end of these 4 years, it's time to move on.
This is a prime example of him trolling people because people have said, they're like, oh, if he gets in the office, he's gonna be a dictator. He's gonna.
This woman is crazy. This she's easily the worst of the three.
Try to run for a third term. So he's like, okay, y'all think I'm gonna do that? I'm gonna mess with y'all and say this to take y'all out.
I thought you loved this man because he's so authentic and he's such a truth teller.
But you need to know the difference between somebody trolling somebody, and this is a prime example of him being a troll.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would. Now, in the future, I am not a diehard Democrat or diehard Republican. If there were a Democratic candidate who was more aligned for me, then I would vote Democrat.
If you go back in time, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
Yes.
I think I might know the answer on this next one.
She said
Yeah, I'm glad they acknowledge she's fucking crazy as well. Didn't they recently do like a big poll? I don't know, was it AP Nork? But they asked around, they said, if you would go back, who would you vote for? If you could redo the election. And even though Trump's approval rating has gone down like enormously since his inauguration, Kamala Harris still loses against Trump. Like, actually, because Kamala Harris and Trump were dead on with each other prior to the actual election, Kamala Harris might be doing worse against Trump now than she did back then, which honestly makes sense. She's been dead on the water since the election, right? She's been silent. She's been gone. Who cares? You know, she's not a real, she dipped. She's gone. She's out. What has changed? Trump has only been more of what he already was. If we run Kamala again in 2028, I just need you all to know that's going to be a real test of my utilitarian position on voting. And I'm not joking. That would be like a grave insult to me personally. That one, if anything would push me to start talking like people I've argued against in the past, it would be that. I'm just letting you all know that ahead of time.
yes. It's immediately yes. No, I'm sorry.
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump, yes or no?
1,000% absolutely yes.
And Van Jones.
That's great. That's great. This is the poll? I don't think the poll was from the Miami Herald. Or, well, maybe this is just who's reporting on it. Emerson College. I don't know if this is what I was thinking about. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.